You're watching Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. You got questions, I got answers, so it's time to touch our bags and drop our sack on this edition of Seahawks Today. This comes from our live show that we do on Wednesday afternoons where you guys submit questions to us. We react to them in real time. And you may be saying to yourself, man, I would love to be a part of your next mailbag segment. Well, folks, you can too. And here's how. Subscribe now to Seahawks Today. Turn on notifications. Join the Noti Gang. That way you're the first to know when we have new content on the channel, when we have breaking news, when we go live, our watch parties and all that. Join the Noti Gang. Spam Noti Gang in the comments section, and we'll get started with today's show. We begin with a $5 super chat from Ian. Ian writes in, hashtag Seahawks, chance we see Christian Haynes getting more playing time with Anthony Bradford doing so poorly. I think we're going to see more Christian Haynes as the season goes along. And Mike Macdonald has talked about that over the last week, saying that with how much we've seen the struggle bus from Anthony Bradford and Christian Haynes developing, just learning how the NFL works, that it's going to be a rotation of the two. I don't know how quickly that we see Haynes potentially take the job away from Bradford, but if Bradford continues to struggle, that might be sooner than later that Haynes ultimately wins that job. So, yes, I believe, Ian, that we'll see more Christian Haynes in the coming weeks ahead. Chief for 10 writes in, do you think Dan Campbell helps or hurts his team by going for it so much on fourth downs? Well, my hope is that on Monday night that it hurts, but I think for the most part, when you look at what Dan Campbell does, even when it bites his team in the ass, when he goes for it when he shouldn't, and they make the wrong play call, whatever it may be, what happens is that when you show the trust in your offense to go for it in those situations, that instills confidence in your team. You get the buy-in. You get guys playing a little bit harder for their head coach. So even when it doesn't work out, you still get everybody on the same page. So I understand where you're coming from, but I personally like Dan Campbell's aggressive coaching style. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. I think Detroit's got a very good one there. I think it does more good than it does bad, but it's a very good question, Chieferton. Matrix says, where's the faith? Seahawks all day, and you know it. So this is in reference to me picking against the Seahawks this week. There it is, right there below. Yes, I took the Lions to beat the Seahawks 27-24. And here's the deal. I've explained this before. I'll explain it again, and this is why I'm picking against Seattle this week. You always try to find the individual matchups. And specifically, you look at the line of scrimmage. All right? And what's going on the right side? Well, you got Aiden Hutchinson on one side, who's on fire, 6 sacks in the first 3 games. Looks like one of the best pass rushers in football. And who is he facing? Stone Forsythe. Oh, boy. Oh, God. Comparably speaking, Charles Cross is playing left tackle. He's not going to be playing right tackle. That is a mismatch. And I think that's something that Detroit's going to exploit. And even if you try to put a double team on Aiden Hutchinson, that's going to open up things for other guys. To me, that's the problem here. I don't see the Seahawks overcoming that. I hope I'm wrong, and hopefully the Seahawks can contain Aiden Hutchinson, find a way to win this football game. But at least on paper, that doesn't look good, especially on the road. I like the Lions, but hopefully I'm wrong. We'll see. The Kingdom writing in, could you see the Seahawks making a trade for Jonathan Jones? Jonathan Jones is fascinating to me because you look at the Seahawks corner room and you see the way Reek's playing, the way Devin is playing. They got some good options there with those top 2 corners. But beyond that, you got some major question marks. Trey Brown's been up and down. The other guys have not done a ton at this point. Jonathan Jones, there's a decent chance he gets dealt prior to the trade deadline. And you also have to factor in Trey Brown's injury history. This guy's gotten banged up a lot. When we get to the trade deadline, is Trey Brown still going to be healthy? Is he going to be playing at a high level? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think that the Seahawks are trading for Jonathan Jones tomorrow, but he's a name to potentially circle back on in a couple of weeks, reevaluate the position, see where things stand, and make a move. I mean, he had 4 picks just a couple of years ago. I'd take him on my team. He's one to monitor. I don't think it's happening yet, but let's circle back when that trade deadline gets closer. Should the Seahawks trade for Jonathan Jones? T for trade, P for pass. You have 2 options. Choose wisely. Tony Hawk writes in, where is Tony Hawk these days? Would it make sense for the Seahawks to try and trade for Garrett Bolles? Yes. Yes. It absolutely would. Garrett Bolles on the trade block at this point for Denver. Very solid football player. He's been good on the Denver Broncos offensive line. His grades not great to start the year in these first 3 games. Pass block grade 66.5, run block grade 55.6, overall grade 56.8. But outside of Charles Cross, he's played better than anyone the Seahawks have right now. And when you look at the situation with George Fant on IR, Abraham Lucas, we don't know when he's coming back. I mean, you're starting to search for answers. Garrett Bolles could be the answer you're looking for. Watch out. To me, I think that potentially makes sense. Should the Seahawks trade for Garrett Bolles? Y for yes, N for no. What do you guys think? Weigh in the comments section and let us know what you think. We have Byron Murphy jerseys on sale now at chatsports.com/Murphy. Add a 9 to that one. Got the home jersey, the road jersey. We have free shipping available, men's and women's sizes. Go see for yourself. Chatsports.com/Murphy to get yours today. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Free shipping included. That's chatsports.com/Murphy. Time for a few more. My Choctaw brethren, Steve J. writing in. Is Abraham Lucas unofficially done due to his knee? It's too early to say at this point. But I think if you're the Seattle Seahawks, even if Abe comes back, you need to start preparing for your future without Abraham Lucas. Because remember what Pete Carroll said last season, that this was a chronic issue with Abraham Lucas. Even if he comes back 100%, even if he plays well, that doesn't mean that it's not going to come back and it's not going to be an issue again. If I'm the Seahawks, I'm trying to just get by this year at that right tackle spot. Just make do for the time being. And then next offseason, you got to go get a right tackle. I mean, Abe potentially, if he gets healthy, could stick around and be a backup, but he can't be your starter next year. Whether it's draft, trade, free agency, something, the clock is ticking on the Abe Lucas era in Seattle. Caleb writes in, you think Bobo is going to get some good rotation time in? I don't see it changing. I think that Jake Bobo kind of remains what he is as that number 4 option. The Seahawks go heavy with DK and Tyler and JSN. We saw more Noah Fant this past week. But for as much as you want more Bobo, and believe me, I understand you guys want more Bobo. You spam more Bobo in the comments and all that. But I just don't see it changing. Barring an injury, Jake Bobo just is what he is. He's that number 4 guy, and that's how it's going to be at this point going forward. Daniel says, if you had to make 3 moves for the Seahawks or at in cap space, what moves would you make? Offensive tackle immediately. That would be the obvious one. I think finding potential help at corner would be another one. And personally, I know people disagree with me on this, but I think the tight end room has some question marks. Noah Fant played better this past week, but you don't have a ton of options beyond there of true receiving threats. So with that said, do I think anything's going to happen? We'll see. But those moves right now, like if you can find just a little bit of help, that could be the difference in this team being a serious threat or not. Last question. The Boskin writes in, Jason Peters is too old and slow. You think Stone is slow? We need to go for a younger tackle on free agency, or even go after Evan Neal from the Giants, cheap, healthy player under a long-term contract, low trade hit. Evan Neal's been awful since he's come in the league. Remember, he was picked ahead of Charles Cross. They tried moving him to right tackle. He got benched, but I'm down to try anything at this point. I mean, maybe even try heroin. I'm kidding. At this point in time, when it comes to the right tackle position, the Seahawks have a lot of problems. You know, whether it's Peters or Bakhtiari or Evan Neal, I mean, you can't live with what you got with Stone Forsythe. I mean, that can't be the answer. You need to do something. Subscribe now to Seahawks Today for continuing Seahawks coverage. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today.